can do some things. If you have plans, shut it down and just rearrange. I know you want it too, so let's just stop playing games. Come on through, cause I'ma let your neighbors know my name. It's on tonight, my mind is right. All I need is you. God gave girls triple sex, now do what it do. Don't go too fast, don't go too slow. Make sure that you move. All I need for you to do, keep me in the groove. Give me a reason, I'll break it down. For you I'm beaming. Let's do this now. Sexy and grown, we're all alone. Get in my zone, get in my zone. I want you and I know, boy, you want me too. Let's have some fun, party rum, I've got flavors too. Come on, get loose, baby, you know you want it too. Stay or play, do what you want, but you've gotta choose. It's on tonight, my mind is right, all I need is you. God gave girls triple sex, now do what it do. Don't go too fast, don't go too slow, make sure that you move. All I need for you to do, keep me in the groove. Give me a reason, I'll break it down. For you I'm beaming, let's do this now. Sexy and grown, we're all alone. Get in my zone, get in my zone, my zone. My zone, my zone, my zone. It's on tonight, my mind is right, all I need is you. God gave girls triple sex, now do what it do. Don't go too fast, don't go too slow, make sure that you move. All I need for you to do, keep me in the groove. Give me a reason, I'll break it down. For you I'm beaming, let's do this now. Sexy and grown, we're all alone. Get in my zone, get in my zone. My Sister Chat Radio. Turn us on, enjoy the show. No machine for your soul.
Regardless religion, your status, your goals. It's where everyone grows from what everyone knows.
Sister Chat Radio. Turn us on, enjoy the show. No machine for your soul.
Your purpose, your passion, yes, we can discuss. Designed just for you, yeah, you can trust us.
Good evening and welcome to Sistah Chat. We are so happy to be here on WSMR 100 FM. How's my sisters tonight?
Oh,
we're great.
Absolutely
I'm
fabulous.
So glad. I'm Sarah Smith-Katz, aka Lady Sarah, and I'm joined by my sisters.
Absolutely. And I am Mama C, aka Deborah Kofer, and I'm just feeling it tonight.
I'm really glad that Mama C remembered who she was.
And who are you?
I'm Holly Kern. And I'm happy to be here tonight too. I'm excited because I love Sahar.
Yeah, we
all love Sahar.
Sahar.
It's mutual.
Sahar is honestly so dear to my heart, but truly a sister in every sense of the word.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Thank you. It's great
So
to be here.
welcome, Sahar Abdulazziz. She is going to be our phenomenal guest this evening.
But first, we have a little bit of housekeeping.
We
to
do have housekeeping. We want to thank brokersrealty.com, John and Betty Rainville. They are going to be joining us for our Mother's Day tea on May 4th.
Awesome.
I'm looking so forward to having all of the Brokers Realty crew with us. So if you are interested in listing your home or selling your home, or you have any other needs, please reach out. You can PM me because I am one of their realtors, but we'll be happy to help you in any way that we can. We are working on some programs so that if you are a first responder or if you are within the community doing great things for the community, reach out to me because we have special offers for you. It's a wonderful thing.
So the Mother's Day tea is coming up.
Mother's Day tea is coming up. We want to say that if you have not gotten your tickets yet, please make sure to reach out to Holly this week because they are selling quickly.
They are selling quickly, and we're close to the end of whole reserve tables. So if you want a table for your family or your company, contact me ASAP. The rest will be individual tickets sold for open seating. So, it's all we got left. We got great entertainment that day. We have Valina Hayes, Christina Lenway, Eileen Gentiles coming and bringing her own fabulous comedy. And we are going to have two psychics with us that are going to do a live reading.
And we're going to do a little bit of Sistah
Chat
Chat there.
We're going to do some Sistah Chat.
It's going to be a wonderful thing. And we're going to have a big hat contest. So make sure you
and
crack
there's
out
be a
your
prize.
hat. And there will be a prize.
Absolutely.
And also,
we have two other events coming up next week. We have on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock at Phoenix Athletica. We have a free business card exchange.
that's right.
Bob and Lindsay Larson are hosting. So get those tickets ASAP. And the other event we have.
Well, is going to be with Miss Sahar Abdulaziz. It's going to be, yes.
Oh,
Deb.
let me just say that everyone should know that those tickets are free.
They're free.
When we say get your tickets, we really mean just reserve your space.
Reserve
okay?
your space
Yeah.
and learn more about the event by going on our Facebook page and finding out all about it.
Yeah.
That way we
absolutely.
know that how many people to actually plan for, because
Absolutely.
and if you take this space, we do have to turn people away if we're going to be filled to capacity, but we don't want to do that.
Yes.
We want everybody to
excited
come.
about
Yes, absolutely.
It starts at 1 o'clock and we have convinced Sahar to do a reading.
Yes.
Oh,
It
how
didn't take much
wonderful.
convincing.
It didn't.
Well, it is going to be held at Adams Art Gallery in the Stroud Mall,
Where I work,
where Deb works.
and I'm there on Saturdays working.
It's a wonderful thing.
It's going to be lots of fun. I'm excited.
Me too.
We're looking forward to it. So all of the information is on our Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out to us if you have any questions, because we're always there to answer them for you.
Sounds like a plan.
Hey, no better way to go.
That's right.
So Sahar,
Yes.
We're here to talk all about you.
it's all about you
Sahar.
tonight.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm ready.
I have to say that I first met Sahar about 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
I think it's been 2 years ago.
Oh,
And
it was
think it was
longer.
longer.
It was
Has it been longer
much
than
longer.
that?
It was back. It was back when we were at
ESU.
90.3 at ESU.
Oh, at
so that
ESU,
was
so it's
quite some time
my
ago.
goodness.
See how fast time goes?
time definitely
What is that, like
flies.
3 years, 4 years? 5,
At least almost 5, I think.
5 years?
But she is definitely one of the coolest ladies I've ever met.
I'm cool.
She is very cool.
She's cool, okay?
My kids would totally disagree with you.
Of course, they always would, you
so,
know?
so tell everyone about your family, first of all, because your mom.
I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 6 adult children. Adult. We'll put that.
Thank God, huh?
Adult children.
Adult children and 7 grandchildren.
Wow.
No way
Okay.
is Sahar a gramma.
I'm a grandma. I'm a
She
nana.
is.
I'm
A nana. You're a nana.
Yeah. And I think being a grandmother helps. I was talking to someone today, and I said, you know what? I always tell people when they tell me, oh, you look so young. I said, well, I am so busy helping to raise my 4 grandchildren. I don't have time to get sick, grow old, or die. And I told them, I said, and I think the same applies to you. So, I think keeping ourselves busy and, when we are involved with our families, they know how to do that.
Yeah, they
Absolutely. And Sahar is a prolific writer.
Oh, yes, she
you.
is.
So this, we're going to talk mostly about your new book called Unlikely Friends.
But I'm going to make her talk about a couple of her other books too.
But
Oh,
of
okay.
course,
Good.
because they are really so much a part of who you are.
Yes, most definitely.
But Unlikely Friends is the newest one, but you have another one that's coming out shortly.
October.
Awesome.
Amazing.
I mean,
will be
she
a
just
thriller.
rolls them off.
No. I don't roll.
They just come. They just seem to come,
There's
and
a
she
lot
just
of
goes with the
hours.
flow. Yeah.
So what book number is Unlikely Friends?
That's number 8.
Number 8.
That's number 8.
So we are looking forward to number 9, but we're going to talk about number 8 today.
Because number
tonight.
8 is going to be featured at the book signing.
This is going to be the featured book.
And this is different than anything else I've ever written.
So tell us a little bit about your past books and why this one kind of popped out
When it did?
completely differently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, up to this point, I had been writing primarily thrillers and suspense. The topics of those thriller and suspense books were heavy. I dealt with things like mood disorders, sexual assault, domestic violence, narcissism, but at the same time, writing suspenseful stories that kept you gripped at the edge of your chair, right? This book kind of creeped up on me and surprised me. I didn't plan to write this book. It actually came in a couple of different ways, in the sense that my writers group was teasing me about the fact that nobody can read my books in the group because if they do, they can't sleep. So they said, can you write funny? I said, I can write funny. I can do funny.
I'm versatile.
I could do funny. And they were like, sure. But I was also talking to a librarian friend of mine, and we had both been done peopling for the week. We were at our top peopling point.
Oh yeah, I know
And-
that feeling.
Right. And I said, you know what? I should just write my next book about a librarian who kills people and hides them behind stacks of books. And we kind of just laughed it off. Ha, 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 ha. And then the next day I got up and I just kept thinking about this librarian. And not necessarily that I wanted to write something as insane as that, but what happens if I had this personality who actually didn't like people? What if he really was tired of people? But loves books, a bibliophile, right? And what if he was the kind of personality that got up in the morning, got ready for work, had the same thing for breakfast every single day, went to his job, minded his own business as much as he could, and grumpily just went on with his existence. I like to say one pot pie to the next, right? So what could I do to him to shake up his world?
Right.
And the next character popped into my mind, Harper, a young woman who is experiencing a lot of difficulties in her life, right? She doesn't trust people. She doesn't trust adults. And she goes to the library because it's safe. When people go to the library, they go to the library for a lot of different reasons. It's
Right.
not necessarily just to take out books or to do research. It's a safe haven.
It's a safe haven. Yeah,
It's a
I've
place
noticed
to-
that.
Right. It's a place to exchange ideas. It's a place that you can be alone with your thoughts. It's a place where you can people watch. Like, like me. And Harper goes to the library because it's safe. It takes her away from that world that she's trying to figure out and can't seem to get a grip of.
Right.
And she plants herself in a chair right across from Erwin Abernathy. And Urban is a grump. He's a curmudgeon. He's, he's rude.
Okay.
He's just a miserable
He's a
person.
miserable person. And Harper finds him hilarious. She
Oh.
sits behind him and she's just staring at him. And every time he looks over at her, she's just cracking up laughing. So she decides to leave him little notes in his book, And he, of course, doesn't want to be the creepy old guy. So he kind of just tries to push her away as much as possible. But the more he does that, the more she
Comes at him.
the more she latches on to him. And some events happen in the story I won't tell you. But they're funny, but at the same time, they're very meaningful because it's about friendship. It's about unlikely friends. It's about not transgressing on those boundaries, which doesn't happen in this book. This is really about pure friendship, trust, heartwarming exchange of ideas.
Right.
Accepting each other for what they are. Harper never tries to change Erwin, and Erwin never tries to change Harper.
True friendship.
True friendship.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
In the most unlikely places, right?
And so many people really need to learn what that means.
What healthy boundaries are. That's right.
Absolutely. And not just healthy boundaries, but their own limitations, because people don't want to admit that they have limitations. But I think when you can admit that, it puts you in a much better place. You set boundaries, and you also acknowledge your own limitations.
Yeah.
What a better way to live.
That's right. And this character, Erwin, he didn't just grow up being a person who hated people or disliked people. People brought him to that place,
And they can, and they
can,
will,
and
if
they
you
did.
let them.
And he also had loss in his life. And sometimes when we experience loss, we shut down.
Yeah.
And Erwin did that. He shut down. And Harper just kept,
Looking at him.
Erwin, Erwin, Erwin.
Yeah, hey.
Erwin, right, exactly.
Look at me.
Exactly. But when she found herself facing some difficulty, the one person that she could count on was him. And he came through. And he's the kind of personality that will always come through. He does the right thing. He's grumbling the entire time.
Oh,
He's
that's
talking
right.
under his breath the entire
I
time.
can't wait to read this book.
Oh,
It was
absolutely.
so much fun to write. I was cracking myself up writing it. I mean, with the types of books that I write, it's very rare that I crack myself up laughing.
Would
But
you say this is one of your favorite books to have written? Or is there another one
it's
here
such a
that we should
different
talk about?
genre. Well, all of these are my babies.
Oh, right.
They're all my babies.
Yeah.
I don't play favorites.
What a good mommy you are.
But this one, all these other books are, look at the covers, they're dark.
dark.
They're dark, right? And then,
The light.
yeah, this is so cute. Look at this paper. in the
Yeah,
back,
I
the
was looking at that.
handwriting, and you can see the elements from the story. This is Bones, the cat.
Oh,
Bones is cool. Bones is very cool.
the cool cat.
He is a cool cat, right? And he sort of adopts humans.
Funny is that?
And so it was a fun story to write. I really enjoyed it. It was a story that I did not outline before I started writing. I literally got up that day and I
And
just
started
started writing
writing.
it. So I was just as surprised as you will be when you meet the characters in the story because they introduced themselves to me as I was writing. And so I was
Wow.
like, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was fun.
That is
It was fun.
awesome.
I remember when Cornelia showed up on the scene and I was just like, okay. And who are you?
Like, well, okay.
What's your deal? And when I'd start typing and, and all of a sudden something would happen. I'm like, I don't know what to do with that. I really don't know what to do. And they would, we got you. And I was able to take it.
Wow. So you did Page to Stage
I did Page to Stage with Expendable.
with Expendable.
That's,
Do you see that happening for Unlikely Friends?
no. No,
Okay.
not with Unlikely Friends. Well, you know what? Okay. It would be fine with me. But I don't think it has the same presence as Expendable.
So talk to us a little bit about your other books.
My
Expendable,
favorite one,
The Broken Half.
The Broken Half.
The Broken,
Broken
Half.
Half.
I love that book. That
So
is,
this is The
not that I
Broken
don't
Half.
love your other books. That book just,
That spoke to you.
yep,
Excellent.
absolutely love it.
So talk to us a little bit about The Broken Half.
The Broken Half is about a young woman who is married to an abuser, domestic violence. And she's not quite sure how to get out of the relationship. And every time she goes and reaches out to somebody in her community, to a friend, to a family member,
Right.
it gets shut down. And she starts to believe the things that her husband says to her about her,
Wow.
which is very common.
Which is
With
common.
domestic violence, there's always an element of emotional abuse. There's always, that control, that financial control.
They got to beat you up and tear you down
In
in order to control you.
Power and
Exactly.
control,
The
right.
power of control, manipulation, and all of that.
And this young woman is fighting, trying to keep her marriage together because she thinks that's what she's supposed to do, until it gets so dangerous that she has no choice but
To run.
to run. And
get
by
out.
that time, he's angry and he's after her and he's going to make her pay. So without giving the story away, this is a story about all the things a woman or a man, but in this case a woman, must face when they decide that they are going to leave a domestic violence situation. A lot of people will say, well, why didn't she just leave? There's nothing just about it. It's dangerous. As a matter of fact, it's the most dangerous time for
Yes.
a woman, and most homicides happen as a
Happen at that time.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
It kind of reminds me of one of my favorite TV shows, 9/11, had a segment like that. And it was her getting away from him was unbelievable, but she had prepared. She had already left him and he found her.
Right.
And she had prepared just in case, and she had taken martial arts courses, and she learned to fight back, and she found her strength.
Right.
Well, she gave him what for, but that's not generally the outcome.
No, it's
that's
not.
on TV,
on
but
TV.
you were rooting for her and you wanted her to be safe and okay. So
Well, a lot of women who are doing time in prison are there because of domestic violence and for defending themselves.
We just recently had that happen locally here.
Really?
There was an incident not too long ago, I'd say about a month ago, in Tannersville. The lady was arrested for shooting her husband like in the face because he had been, according to
Wow.
her, very abusive. I don't know how the story is actually going to play out, but
Right.
but that's the details of it at this
had
point.
there been any record of
I don't
it?
I
You
don't know.
any
I don't know all the
details?
details of it.
Wow.
I'm sure it'll be a very publicly
Yeah.
held court case that'll be, publicized. But it just recently happened here. It was in Tannersville.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's the norm.
It
It's
happens.
not-
It
it's not the
happens
exception.
everywhere.
It's
There
not
is
the
no
exception.
area that's exempt
Right.
from domestic violence.
No, not at
Well,
all.
and that's one you heard about. Like
That- yeah.
that's the story that
That's
you heard
one
about.
of the ones you heard about. There are many more
That's
that
right.
you haven't heard about yet.
That's right. And
Sahar, tell people, I mean, you have a background where you have been on the hotline.
yes, I was trained by Women's Resources here in Monroe County. Fabulous organization.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Very,
is.
very incredible training, intense training. But you need it in order to face the situations that you're going to come across. This is not something that you just say, well, I would like to volunteer. You really need the training, and you're going to
Right.
be grateful for that training.
Well,
when
I
you're
did the
done.
easy thing with them. I volunteered at the front desk and took calls.
I did the training for the hotline, and I worked with Women's Resources, doing sheltering, rape kits, when necessary, hotline. And then later on, I did some counseling with domestic violence and sexual assault. It's heartbreaking. It's
is.
draining. The work that the women and men do in Women's Resources is so commendable and dangerous. I mean,
Yeah.
they're putting themselves out there. This is not an easy task. It can tear away at you, but at the same time, when you're able to make a difference in somebody's life,
Yeah.
it can also fortify you.
And you're right, it is dangerous
Yeah.
because there have been cases where caregivers, people who have been helping, have been killed in the process.
And
So-
attacked. That's
and
correct.
attacked,
That's
exactly.
correct, yeah.
So
And not without giving away the story
Right.
of the broken half. There's a twist that involves
There's
that.
a lot of twists and turns in those stories because they're thrillers, they're suspense. You know, I do write about these heavy topics, but
It seriously, I Sahar gave me the book last fall, and it was the day of the blizzard, and I lost power in my house, and I started
You were a
reading it.
captive reader.
I was.
Captive
I started
reader.
reading it, and I'm like, I have to read this whole book today.
I have to promote more during blizzards.
You do.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because I couldn't put it down. Like, I read the book with a candle, like with my lantern, in the dark in my cold house, because I was like, I'm doing
I remember
something.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember.
I'm like, I am
Wow.
reading this book. And I read the book, and it was so good.
Well,
It
like they
was
say,
so
where there's a will, there's a way.
That book is so good. I gotta say, if you want, I mean, the other books are fabulous too. They're all wonderful, but that book just really got me. Loved it.
Oh, thank you.
The characters in it were amazing. The storyline, the plot, you just can't let it go. You need to know how
What
this is
happens?
going to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. You can keep.
Yeah, keep going. Keep
I
going.
keep going. Yeah, I seriously. I mean, it's over there somewhere, but it is.
The
just-
Broken
it's
Half
there.
is here.
It's just such a fabulous book.
We have Tightrope. Talk to us a little bit about Tightrope.
Well, Tightrope. I wrote that in I started writing that in 2015, and it was published at the very beginning of 2016. And this is about a young woman who is an activist, and she is getting ready to speak on a platform about racism and bigotry and misogyny and all those
Toxic things.
that are happening today. And she's used to getting hate mail. A lot of activists will get hate mail from people because everybody feels emboldened and brave behind a computer screen.
Oh, absolutely.
Or a telephone.
That's just an all around.
That's
you
all
know
around.
view on society.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately, that's
absolutely,
absolutely
Holly.
true. And so she's getting these emails, and they're coming pretty regularly. And so she's not that concerned, but one writer, one person in particular, who doesn't sign his name, of course, because he's a coward.
Coward.
He's writing to her, but his emails are a little bit different. There's a different feel to them, and it's creeping her out, and she knows that this is really dangerous. And at the same time, she's battling some health issues, and she doesn't really know it. She just thinks it's nerves because she's going to be going on this very big platform to talk about these issues.
Right.
So she's got the stomach problems that she's experiencing. She's got this guy who's stalking her. And then she's also dealing with all the microaggressions that she's coming across, being a Muslim woman, right? Facing these kind of situations. So this is all coming at her at once, and without giving the plot away, it's a thriller. This is suspense, and there's a lot of dark personalities in this, and they reveal themselves in such a way as to make you think twice about who's smiling at you
Absolutely.
and who
Oh.
is on your side.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's scary because I had someone stalking me when I lived in New York, and he hung around in the neighborhood, and everywhere I went,
Yeah.
there he was, and then finally, once I realized that he was stalking me,
Yeah.
I told the men in my life. That's when it stopped. He
Well,
kind of totally disappeared.
Well, this young woman brings it to the attention of people, and they tell her it's in her head. Get over it. You're in the
Well,
public eye.
unfortunately, that seems to be the placating sentence that
Right.
people use.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well,
People
they
are-
say it's what you ask for.
Right.
yeah,
Like you want to be in the public eye, then
Right.
you
Well, then
you
you have to
deserve
expect
this.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As if you have the right, people are entitled to transgress upon you.
I mean,
Yeah.
The very thought of, I mean, back in the day before social media, death threats were so uncommon.
Right,
Like,
right.
who got death threats? Politicians,
Maybe. Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. And it was frowned upon.
And it was frowned upon. It was society
was
did not
unacceptable.
find it acceptable. So,
Right.
like the wackos that wanted to assassinate the president were bad people.
Right.
Now everybody does it.
Now
everybody wants
It's
to
a
go
matter
with-
of conversation. It's
Yeah.
just
Like seriously,
there's
oh,
no boundaries. There's no
She
healthy
said
boundaries.
this, death threats. She went there, death
Death
threats.
threat.
Right.
He said this. He's this variety person.
Right.
It's amazing.
Everybody's gone nuts.
You
right.
put a crazy picture on Instagram that somebody doesn't like, you could get death threats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, in this
And
particular
it seems
book,
normal. That's
And-
that's
yeah,
what's scary.
That's
it.
the scary part.
That's the difference. It's never normal, but people accept it.
and the person that was doing this to this particular character in the book, he looked like everybody else that was walking down the street. It's not like
They
you could-
always do,
right.
generally.
It's not that stranger danger kind of thing. This
Right.
is somebody you walk past every single day. You go food shopping with this kind of person, and all along this person is unraveling. He is unpacking and unwinding as the moments go on because he's so emboldened to hurt this young woman because he blames her for the life choices that he made.
Wow.
And so he has used her as an excuse because he doesn't want to face.
He doesn't want to take
own
responsibility.
shortcomings.
Yeah.
That's right. But what I also do is I introduce you to him. I take you back a little bit. I show you what made him, because nobody just is born this way.
That's
right?
right.
Absolutely.
There's things that happen that cause people to unravel like this.
Mm-hmm,
And so you start to see behind him. He's not just this monster that we like to portray, but a person who's completely broken.
Yeah.
And it has absolutely no problem tearing anybody else down in order to make an excuse for the things that he himself did.
Absolutely. And, there's a saying, hurting people hurt people.
Right.
And that is so true. There's something wrong with people who want to hurt other people.
Absolutely.
And I think we need to recognize that. And when we come across someone like
Yeah.
that, we need to be very, very real about what we're dealing with.
I think there's a huge difference between people who actually want to physically harm people and people who want to be in control. I
That's
think
true.
that a lot of social media conversations, those keyboard warriors that say whatever they want, they don't really have much oomph behind them, generally speaking. I mean,
Right,
some do,
right.
but like in the ratio of it, the statistics of it, yes, you have one wacko that's going to go out and actually do what they say they're going to do. But most people, it's about intimidation.
Yeah, absolutely.
To silence people, to I very recently had a very stupid conversation on a Facebook group locally, a local Facebook group, where I just deleted my whole
We can
conversation.
have those often.
Yeah.
I just deleted my whole conversation because I'm not going to have conversations about relatively accepted stuff
Yeah.
and have people tell me it's not true. I don't care who you are, but it was a conversation about PFAs.
Oh, okay.
Because they changed the law on gun handing in your guns. You get convicted of, you get a PFA against you. You have 24 hours to hand your guns in, and now you can't give them to
Right.
friends or family. You have
Right.
to give them to officials.
Officials.
And in this group, they
Good.
said, "Oh, it's a slippery slope to taking away your guns." No, it's a slippery slope to taking away guns from bad people.
Absolutely.
And then it
That's
said,
right.
"Well, PFAs are handed out all the time to people who aren't really." I said, "No, they're not."
No.
And there is a fallacy in people's minds that people are out to get you. They're not. If you don't break the law, if you don't hurt other people, you can have your guns, you can go about your business, you can do whatever you want. But if you're beating your spouse, you deserve to lose your gun.
Absolutely.
If- right.
Absolutely.
You give up that right. And, it's like, I just can't even continue to have conversations with people where they say, "Oh, well, there's a lot of people in prisons in Pennsylvania that don't belong there." That's not true. Yes, some people are wrongly convicted, but the majority of people in prison in the United States have broken the law in some way.
Absolutely. They deserve to be there.
They might have a harsh sentence for what they did, but they probably did what they did. There's a ratio of people that are falsely convicted that's very small. And if you break that down to the state of Pennsylvania, there's a very small ratio of people that are wrongly convicted. And if you break it down to PFAs, there's a very small ratio of women who are going to go through that horrific process.
Right. And it is horrific.
And have it be false.
It's very,
Absolutely.
It's so baloney. I call baloney on the whole thing.
Yeah. And they're not
Yeah.
given out, easily. It's a very long process.
Yes.
And it's
I believe
very
you,
revealing.
you can get emergency PFAs if there is an actual physical
most of the time.
threat.
You can, but it's still
not
a
an
horrible
easy
process.
right. It's not an easy process.
You have to have evidence.
And yet, right,
the
exactly.
judge has to decide that you are saying the truth. Like, these are not stupid people that are
No, they're
judges
not.
that are looking at this stuff.
I
Like,
agree.
they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And not necessarily, and also in the past, I don't know if this is true now, so take it for where it is, but if you had physical marks on your body, it was easier to get
Yes.
a PFA.
Yes.
But if you're being emotionally abused, where there's no marks on your body, then getting a PFA was almost near to impossible at one time.
And we've had
And that's
some
a very serious, dangerous
very
abuse.
interesting conversations about the types of abuse that are out there because so many people think that only hitting constitutes abuse.
No.
But there's emotional, there's financial. Let's talk about that for about a minute, because financial abuse, people don't really get what that's all about.
It can ruin you.
It can.
It can ruin you. I mean, there's situations where even when people are bringing in the income, right? The partner that's being abused is bringing in the income, but they don't have access to that income. So again, people say, well, why didn't they just leave? Well, they don't have access to that money. It might be directly deposited into their abuser's
Joint account.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're held accountable for every penny.
Oh, I'm not going to pay this because, you weren't doing the right things for
You don't
me
get
this
gas this
Right,
week because
absolutely.
you took too much time getting home, and I know it only takes 10 minutes from point A to point B.
Right.
And I saw that you used an extra gallon of gas. So really, where were you?
Exactly.
I mean, this is some sick stuff.
That's
This
some
is power
sick
and control.
stuff.
Right.
I agree.
So financial, can make it extremely difficult, especially when there are children involved, right? So
It's a way of holding you prisoner without actually, doing anything physically, but that it's a form of emotional abuse that is
Absolutely.
fiscal.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that as a mother, you want to make sure your children are okay. And you don't want to go anywhere where I don't have access to money, so I won't be able to feed my kids. I won't be able to house my kids. We'll end up in a shelter, and oh my God, that's worse than what I'm going through now. So I think we as mothers come up with a lot of excuses. Not me, of course, because see, I don't do abuse. But I don't do abuse, okay? I believe in the hot grits and the hot pan principle.
But women have a tendency to take abuse if they have children at home that they are concerned about, somehow not being able to take care of them.
Well, not even just that. Many women's spouses say to them, I will take your children and you will never see them again.
That is
That is the
Oh,
threat
that's-
that a lot of women live with, and then they have to wait until their children are old enough to say, my name is,
Right.
this is where I live, my
Right.
mother's name is,
Is.
and they have to train them to say all of those things
those
so that they can get
and
back
know the
to
phone
them.
numbers.
And that's if the children haven't been gaslighted all this time.
All that time.
To think that their mother is the problem.
Is the
Right.
problem.
Or the abused parent is the problem, right?
Right.
Because they've been told that she or he is a liar.
Absolutely.
You can't trust them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm the parent who can do for you X, Y, and Z.
Now, Sahar, when you say gaslighting, for people who may not understand what that means, can you break that down a little bit?
Very simply, it just means whatever you see in front of you, whatever you hear with your own two eyes, whatever you know for a fact, I'm going to sit here and tell you that's not true.
You're nuts.
You're crazy.
It's all in your mind.
That's right.
You're emotional.
Yeah.
You're acting crazy.
You just want attention.
Yeah.
You're too
You're just
sensitive.
drama.
You're too sensitive.
And
yeah.
that kind of brings us to
And
another
this is
one of
why
your
I
books.
can't. Oh,
Yeah.
But you look just fine.
I read that book. Oh my goodness. It's deep. It's very intense in terms of what the experiences of people who have gone through depression and other
Mood
forms
disorders.
of mood disorders.
Right.
Exactly. And people were very honest about what they've been
They
through.
were. They were very honest. They were very brave. That is my nonfiction book. That one is actually my degree.
Talk about that a little bit. What
What is this book? Mm-hmm. Okay, But You Look Just Fine is about unmasking depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, panic disorder, and seasonal affective disorder.
Right. Two of those I have. Post-traumatic stress disorder and seasonal affective disorder. But I think it's important for us when we have these particular disorders that we understand them.
Sure.
It helps us to develop strategies that keep them from overcoming our lives.
Right.
Well, and that's actually what this book is about. It's
Yeah.
a user. I
It's a
mean, on the
user-friendly-
cover it says
right.
it's a user-friendly resource featuring coping tools and profiles of individuals who live with depression and
Yes.
anxiety disorders.
That's right.
So if you are listening to us and you are having issues or you think you may be having issues, you should really order this book. It's called But You Look Just Fine. And it's really...
And it's about the fact that people who have mood disorders, they're facing some very serious, life-threatening challenges, but they get very good at wearing masks.
That is so true. You know, I started about 6 months ago when people say, "How are you doing?"
Right.
I'd often say, "Oh, I'm great,"
Yeah.
but I'm not.
No.
So last week, somebody asked me, and I looked at him. I said, "You know what? I'm really tired. It's been a very busy at work, and I'm tired." And they looked at me.
Like, how do I process that answer?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
I'm
too much
telling you how I
responsibility.
really am.
Because they're used to people saying, "Oh, I'm fine."
Yep.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
we're trained that way.
Yeah,
Right?
and
Because
we're
how dare you
conditioned.
complain?
Yeah.
How dare you let anybody know that, no, I am suffering. I'm finding that I'm not able to cope. I'm not able
How
to.
dare you be for real?
Right.
In other words.
Right.
Well, you know, it's hard to be honest. It's very hard for people to be honest about their things that are going on. So, you know, I have two things that go on with myself, and I've been talking about it on Facebook on my Sister Chat Holly group.
Right.
I talk about my anxiety disorder, which has exponentially grown since I kind of figured it out, since I've been a mother. Like, since I had Connor, since I've been pregnant, I have had it's ratcheted up over time, and I've really worked on treating it
Right.
as opposed to saying I'm fine.
Well, that's
And
half
and
of
the
it.
other thing I have going on is I have this wicked perimenopause that's like trying to kill me. So I'm going
Yeah.
through that health process.
Right.
And sharing information about it. I think the more we share information about what's
Absolutely.
really going on, no matter
Absolutely.
what it
And
is.
destigmatize it and stop re-victimizing people for physical challenges.
Right.
Because these are physical challenges.
They are.
This is nothing to be embarrassed about. Having a mood disorder is not something you should
Absolutely
be embarrassed
not.
about.
I had a
Absolutely
friend
not.
last night, I will not name names, who had to take her husband to the hospital because he thought he was having a heart attack. It
Wow.
was not a heart
It was
attack.
an anxiety
Anxiety
attack.
attack.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
And
It
they can-
happens to men, women, people of all
Yes.
ages.
Children, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think a lot of people these days suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
They just are not diagnosed yet.
That's correct.
And you know, when I started having, I would never forget, I was driving and I had a panic attack. And it was it was very scary. I had to pull over and sit and breathe for a little while. But this was before my diagnosis of post-traumatic stress
So
disorder.
you didn't know if you were having a heart attack.
I didn't know what was happening. It just scared me. But you know what? I think when we are trained to consider ourselves to be strong women, we kind of fluff it off. You know, and that's what I did for a while. I
Well,
mean,
it's
I
really
fluffed it off.
easy to kind of shove it down and not
Absolute-
speak about it and keep.
And why do we do
Swallowing.
this? And why do we do this?
Because we've been brought up.
We have a person in the chat room saying, maybe we can address, Sahar, how society re-traumatizes victims.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's a fact. And we make people embarrassed to say that I have depression. We make people embarrassed to say that I'm suffering from anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right, right.
Somehow we're supposed to face our life challenges and not allow them to physically affect us whatsoever, even though they're traumatic.
Right.
But the fact is that when we have depression, when we're facing anxiety, when we're facing post-traumatic stress disorder, these are also chemical imbalances.
Absolutely.
These are very real. This is not something that you're making up. This is not something you're doing to get attention.
Exactly.
This is not something that you're doing to make somebody else's life miserable. These are very real conditions. And what we do as a society is we say to people, you know, just appreciate what you have in life.
Absolutely.
You know?
Just be grateful.
Be grateful. Keep a gratitude journal.
Yeah, yeah. Like, really?
No, you know what I have? You know what I have? Because I have an anxiety disorder, I have to-do lists. 9,000 to-do
To-do
lists.
lists.
Right.
Yeah, because it calms me down
That's right.
to put it in order in my head
That's
and
right.
put it on paper.
Right, and
But I in that process, I don't have a lot of gratitude for anything. You know what I mean? I gotta say, you know, like,
Yeah.
like
Well,
when I
and-
feel
and-
the urge for that.
And
Right.
journaling is a great way of expressing what's happening
Real
within
journaling
yourself.
is,
Real
but not to be
journaling.
told to just, you know, not as a fluff.
No.
Something that you want to do for yourself. Journaling is absolutely wonderful. So is music therapy. So is art
Absolutely,
therapy.
absolutely.
Exercise, because these are all bringing certain kind of adrenalines back into the system and opening up those.
Well, it also
Open up
lets
those
you
chakras.
express yourself when you may not be able to express yourself with
Absolutely.
words. You're able to express yourself,
That's right.
whether it's with art,
That's
dance, music, whatever your outlet is, you need to be able to do it and do it freely.
Without guilt.
Absolutely.
You don't
And-
have to feel guilty for having. Look, bottom line, if you broke your leg, nobody's going to try to make you feel guilty for having a broken leg.
Absolutely.
Nobody's going to make you feel guilty because you had a heart attack. But tell somebody you're depressed.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
They don't know how to respond to that.
Now,
Yeah.
it's changing. It is absolutely changing.
It is
because,
changing.
like Holly said, the more we talk about it, the more we bring it to light, the more that we start destigmatizing it, stop victimizing people who are suffering from these mood disorders, and get honest about it. Honest
Absolutely.
with these conversations. Then
Absolutely.
we can get down to the nitty gritty of what we can actually do to help people.
Well, and
through
there
this.
are definitely physical things that will cause depression. I know for
right.
myself, I have an underactive thyroid.
That's right.
Very minimal, but I was in a state where I couldn't feel
That's right.
certain things.
Right.
I was foggy.
Yeah.
And when I found out that all I have to do is take a little tiny pill, I felt like this
Night and day.
weight
Right.
was lifted off of me because I was thinking clearly. I was reacting normally.
Right.
And it's, yes, it's a little thing, but it is something that can make your life so majorly different.
Absolutely. And
And don't be afraid to go and find out what
Speak
is
to your
wrong
doctor.
with you.
Absolutely.
Go to the doctor
And
if
you're
you're
right.
feeling a certain sort of way, whatever that may be.
right.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to go and talk to a family physician
Right.
or a therapist. I mean, we have Michelle Townsend, who is like our friend that we all have talked to at one point or another because
Yeah.
We took her last year on our retreat.
yes, we did.
She spent a
And it
whole
was
day
a
with
wonderful
us.
thing, and
Yeah.
we're
And
hoping
there was
that she'll
more
do
than
more.
one time that she looked at us like, "Whoa," you know. But she's honest, you know,
Yeah.
and that's what you need.
And
sometimes.
if you don't want to go to a therapist, find a really good friend to have a conversation with. Deb and I call each other on a regular basis. Holly and I, well, we're cousins, so it's like, a daily basis. But, we talk about things that, find someone that you really feel
Absolutely.
that is
can
a
trust.
friend that you can
Absolutely.
trust, that you
Absolutely.
respect their opinion. And it's not hard. Go have coffee.
Absolutely.
Have an honest conversation. Don't talk about the weather. Don't talk about dresses. Talk about feelings.
Talk about how you really feel.
But at the same time, if you feel that you can't have those conversations, if you go to a doctor and they're brushing you off, then you need to find a different doctor.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And if you
absolutely.
can't speak to your spouse about this, if you can't speak to your best friend for whatever reason, then you do need to find somebody that you can communicate with, because if you keep this locked up inside, if you keep this bottled up inside, you're going to do severe damage to yourself.
Oh,
And that's
absolutely.
why we see a rise in suicide.
Well,
because these
and
are
it's
people who
not
don't
just
have-
women.
No, no,
You
no.
know,
this
one
is
of
men
the
and women,
things
men and women,
that we
children.
have to absolutely say is it's not just women.
No.
If you are a man that is having these feelings, if you are feeling that you're abused, if you are being treated in a way that is inappropriate, whether it's financially, whether it's, a physical, because
Sexual.
women hit men, if it's sexual, whatever it may be, you have to find a way to remove yourself from that toxic situation.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
if you can't remove yourself, find a way or a partner with some kind of group or doctor or therapist or counselor, friend, that you can make that move eventually. You'll know when to make that move. I always try to tell people, though, that we can't decide when it's time for somebody to leave a
That's right.
situation.
Absolutely.
They know their
absolutely.
abuser.
And
They
you
know
know
their
the
safety
day.
issues.
You know when that day is that you have to
Right.
move.
Go.
We need
Exactly.
to trust people to know when it's their time to leave.
Absolutely.
And
All
not
we
make
can-
them feel guilty for not leaving before that
Absolutely.
point.
And
all we
you used to always talk about a go bag, which I find to be very interesting. And it's something that a lot of people don't understand. So maybe you could talk about, what a go bag is, what should be in it, because it is a really important little piece that a lot of people don't really
Makes the
think about.
transition easier. A go bag is for somebody who finds themselves in a domestic violence situation or a sexual assault situation. They're in a situation that they can't get out of right away. So what we advise is that they put together a bag of all their important paperwork, because when a situation is reaching its pinnacle of danger, you're not going to have time to retrieve these things from wherever they are. So those kinds of things would be your birth certificate, your passport, your bank information, medication, any kind of paperwork for your children, school
Cash.
paperwork. I'm sorry?
Some
Cash.
Cash, gift cards, an extra phone, okay? Because a lot of times abusers are tracking down their partner through their phones. So you want a phone that's not connected to your abuser.
Get a burner
right.
and put it in there.
Yeah, and cash is important because you also don't want to use your
don't wanna
credit
leave a trail,
cards.
right.
You don't want to
If
leave
they're
a trail.
interconnected, right.
Exactly.
So these are things that you can put together. Now, it might be dangerous to keep them in your home. So what we also advise is to leave them someplace with somebody that you trust, so that if you have to go, you can say, I need to grab that bag.
I need
right?
my go bag.
And if you do keep it at home, I can't stress this enough, please put it someplace where your abuser will not find it. If they find it, you're putting yourself in
You're
deeper
done.
danger.
Yeah.
So, you know what to do in terms of your home. If you have no place safe to leave it at home, find somebody you can leave it.
And not in the trunk of your car either, because
No.
that is really,
Yeah.
probably a place that would be
Right.
easily looked in.
Right. And so the go bag is basically that. It's a go bag, that extra pair of clothing, that extra blanket for your child, that medication that they need for asthma. Whatever it is, there's an extra in that bag. So that way, if you have to leave and you don't have but seconds to run, you can get that bag or know where to find that bag.
It is always so interesting to have these conversations with you, Sahar, and it always revitalizes that belief in the power of us as women,
Yeah.
that we are able to do these things. But
Be
if you are
proactive.
out there and you are afraid, you can call help. They will come and help you. I know that the Women's Resources here does have emergency.
Hotline is 24/7 and it's 110% confidential, and it's free.
That's right. It is free, and they also have housing.
Yes, they have sheltering. Sometimes, someone might not be at the point where they want to be sheltered, but they want somebody to talk to.
Right,
They just want
right.
to. They want to see what their options are.
Right.
Call the hotline 24/7, free and confidential.
If you're not in our area and Women's Resources is not an option, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which is 1-800-799-7233 for people watching and listening farther afield from the Poconos. But Women's Resources is local here to the Poconos, and all of their services are actually free.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about paying for therapy, group sessions.
Counseling.
They have art therapy, counseling, and then they do have the shelter, and we will post their information also. I'm trying to find the phone
And they
number
do
real
have
quick.
Children's counselors there also.
Yes, they do, and
Oh, yeah.
Spanish-speaking counselors.
Yes.
The crisis hotline for Women's Resources is 570-421-4200.
We want to let everyone know again that if you have enjoyed this show and you're interested in meeting Sahar, she is going to be at Adams Art Gallery at the Stroud Mall. It is going to be on April 27th,
Which is a Saturday.
which is a Saturday. And it's
At 1:00, right?
1 to
One to
4.
four.
1 to 4.
Yeah.
You're going to do readings. You're going to have book signings, so you can purchase your book and have Sahar sign it.
and see
Yeah.
some beautiful art at our host's art gallery as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
It is
yeah.
an amazing spot where they bring in art classes. They have an amazing artist that we are actually going to be speaking to next
week,
Thursday.
yeah.
Mr. Joe Mooney is going to be joining us and talking about being as prolific an artist as you are a writer. He does the most amazing portraiture.
Yes, he does. It's
I'm
incredible.
just blown away by his work.
And the thing about it is, he's never taken an art class. It was a natural gift that he's had since childhood, and his parents encouraged him to follow that path and to stick with it. And he came by and he visited me in the art gallery last Sunday, and I told him, I said, there's no way that you can walk away from this gift because you're not supposed to.
No, you're not.
It's just fabulous.
And he's teaching the art classes there now.
The sip
which
tea
are
and paint.
Yes, sip tea and paint. They're on Saturday evenings.
Right.
So it's just, it is turning into this beautiful art center.
Right.
And now all of the authors are going to be coming in and doing readings and all of that. So
Yes,
Sahar,
there are going to be future book signings.
There
and
are going
readings
to be.
at
Fantastic.
the-
I'd love to hear that.
Yep.
so
Absolutely.
we
have amazing authors in our area.
We do.
We do.
Like I feel that I just love Sahar. I really do. But I am so amazed at her work. Like we're not talking like, oh, my friend wrote a book. We're talking like my friend wrote a book, like a really good book. And a bunch of them, it's like
Right.
yeah, that you have the opportunity to actually walk into the mall, walk into the art gallery, and meet an author like Sahar. It is truly
it's a real privilege.
a
It's a
privilege.
privilege, but it's a privilege for me to meet my readers as well. I
We
mean,
love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm excited.
Oh,
I'm
you know
nervous.
what? It's going to be a wonderful day and a wonderful experience for everyone, So,
And Sistah Chat does support artists.
Yes.
And we support artists, we support authors, and we also support unsigned artists. So if you are someone out there that is an unsigned musician and you would like to have us play your music before or after our show, please make sure to reach